Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters in faith, welcome back to the Quranic story series. This is the story of the Prophet Yusuf, a child thrown into a well by his own brothers, a slave sold for a handful of silver coins on the slave market. And now we will witness something more astonishing than all the suffering before it. A child from the slave markets of Egypt to the intrigue-filled corridors of a palace. This is the trial in the palace. Now, I want to invite you to ask yourself, have you ever felt like you were at the intrigue-filled corridors of a palace? He ran. She ran after him. At the door, the husband, Al-Aziz, standing there, seeing everything. And in an instant, the palace became a courtroom. She was faster. She spoke first. What is the penalty for one who intended evil against your wife except imprisonment or painful punishment? The accusation hung in the air. But a member of the household, a witness, spoke. If his shirt is torn from the front, then she is truthful and he is among the liars. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied and he is among the truthful. The shirt was examined. It was torn from the back. Al-Aziz saw the truth. He said to his wife, "Indeed, it is of your women's plan. Indeed, your plan is great." Then to Yusuf, turn away from this. And you, wife, seek forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were of the wrongdoers.
The truth was known inside the palace, but outside, whispers spread. The women of the city talked. The wife of Al-Aziz is trying to seduce her slave boy. She loves him deeply. We think she has clearly gone wrong. Her pride was struck, so she invited them. A banquet, fine food, beautiful surroundings. She gave each of them a knife. Then she called Yusuf to come out. The Quran describes what happened. When they saw him, they greatly admired him and cut their hands and said, "Perfect is Allah. This is not a man. This is but a noble angel." She turned to them and said, "That is the one about whom you blamed me. And I certainly sought to seduce him, but he was firm. But if he does not do what I order him, he will surely be imprisoned and will be of those debased." She was threatening him openly now. In front of witnesses, Yusuf turned to Allah, "My Lord, prison is more beloved to me than what they invite me to. And if you do not avert from me their plan, I might incline toward them and be of the ignorant." Allah responded to his prayer. The prison gates closed. And Yusuf, who had done nothing wrong, entered prison with a dignity that the gods had never seen before. Prison, the third darkness. First, the darkness of the well. Second, the darkness of slavery. Third, the darkness of a prison he did not deserve. But notice what Yusuf did not do. He did not grow bitter. He did not curse the people who had wronged him. He did not abandon his faith because faith had not given him an easy life. Instead, he preached in prison to the people around him. "O my two companions of the prison, are many different lords better? Or Allah, the one, the prevailing? You worship not besides him except names you have named them, you and your fathers, for which Allah has sent down no authority." Two men came to him, both servants of the king, both imprisoned. Both had dreamed. One said, "I saw myself pressing wine." The other said, "I saw myself carrying bread on my head from which birds were eating."
Yusuf interpreted both. To the first, you will be released and serve wine to your king. To the second, you will be crucified and the birds will eat from your head. And then Yusuf made a request, a human, deeply moving request. Mention me before your master, please. Don't forget me. Tell the king there is an innocent man here. The Quran then delivers one of its most heartbreaking lines. But Shaitan made him forget the mention to his master. He forgot. The man who Yusuf had helped, who had been given good news, walked back into comfort and simply forgot the man still sitting in the dark. And Yusuf remained in prison. For how long? The scholars say 7 years, perhaps more. 7 years of waiting, 7 years of trusting, 7 years of a destiny being carefully, invisibly assembled, one piece at a time.
The king of Egypt woke up shaking.
What was that?
He had seen a dream that no one in his court could explain. Not his magicians, not his priests, not his advisors. The greatest minds in the greatest empire on earth, and not one of them could tell the king what he had seen. 7 fat cows, 7 lean cows, the lean ones eating the fat. 7 green ears of grain, 7 dry ones, the dry consuming the green. The court was silent with failure. Yet a man behind prison walls, someone forgotten by the system, by the people he had helped, by the world, had the answer. Do you still believe that Allah has placed you exactly where you are for a purpose you have not yet understood? And then, a memory, a spark behind the eyes of one man in the room. The cupbearer, the man who had been in prison, the man Yusuf had helped years ago. He remembered. I will inform you of its interpretation, he said, so send me forth. He went back to the prison. After years of silence, after years of forgetfulness, he stood at Yusuf's cell and said, "O Yusuf, O man of truth, explain to us about 7 fat cows eaten by 7 lean ones." Yusuf did not show bitterness. He did not demand an apology before he helped. He simply answered, immediately, completely, generously. You will plant for 7 years consecutively, and what you harvest leave in its head except a little from which you will eat. Then will come after that 7 difficult years, which will consume what you saved for them, except a little from which you will store. Then will come after that a year in which the people will be given rain and in which they will press. He ran back to the palace. He told the king. The king said one thing: "Bring him to me." But Yusuf, peace be upon him, did not walk out immediately. He stopped. He sent a message back to the king. Before he would leave the prison, he wanted something addressed. He said, "Return to your master and ask him, what is the case of the women who cut their hands? Indeed, my lord is knowing of their plan." He wanted his name cleared, not out of pride, but because a man who would carry the trust of an entire nation must stand on truth. The king investigated. The women were questioned. The wife of Al-Aziz, after years of silence, finally confessed. Now the truth has become apparent. It was I who sought to seduce him, and indeed, he is of the truthful. Innocence declared, officially, publicly. Then Yusuf walked free. The king looked at this man who had survived a well, survived slavery, survived false accusation,
survived years of prison, and he saw something in his eyes that he had never seen in any of his advisors. Yusuf spoke first. "Place me in charge of the storehouses of the land. Indeed, I will be a knowing guardian." Not asking, not begging, but presenting himself as the most qualified man for the most critical job in the most critical moment in Egypt's history. The king agreed. And just like that, the boy who was sold for a handful of silver coins became the man who controlled the grain reserves of the most powerful empire on earth.
The well, the slave market, the palace, the prison window, the messenger, the king. Every step, every painful, humiliating, heartbreaking step had been a step on a staircase that led here. 7 years of abundance. The granaries of Egypt swelled under Yusuf's administration. Careful, disciplined, planned. Then the famine came, exactly as the dream had foretold. And from across the region, from Canaan, from distant lands, from kingdoms that had no grain left, people came to Egypt to beg, to trade, to survive. Among the caravans from Canaan, 10 brothers. They did not recognize the man who received them. Why would they? The boy they had thrown in a well was now dressed in the robes of Egyptian authority. Years had passed. Power had reshaped everything. But Yusuf recognized them immediately. He questioned them. He gave them grain. He hid their payment in their sacks so they would have to return. He kept one brother, Shimon, as surety, and sent the rest home with a message: "Bring your youngest brother, Binyamin, when you return." Back in Canaan, old Yaqub heard the demand. His youngest son, Binyamin, the brother of Yusuf by the same mother, must go to Egypt. The father who had already lost one son was being asked to risk another. The Quran tells us something devastating about Yaqub. His grief over Yusuf had been so prolonged, so deep, that his eyes had turned white from weeping. He had never stopped crying for years. He sent Binyamin. He held on to his trust in Allah. When the brothers returned to Egypt with Binyamin, Yusuf could no longer contain himself. He took his full brother aside, privately, and revealed himself. "I am your brother. Do not be distressed by what they used to do." Then, through a sequence of events, the discovery of a planted cup in Binyamin's sack, the brothers' pleas, Yusuf finally choosing to reveal himself to all of them, the moment arrived. He said, "I am Yusuf, and this is my brother. Allah has certainly favored us. Indeed, whoever fears Allah and is patient, then indeed Allah does not allow to be lost the reward of those who do good." 11 brothers bowing. The 11 stars in the dream of a child in Canaan, finally prostrating to the sun that Allah had always known would rise. They expected punishment. They expected the scales of justice to fall. And Yusuf, peace be upon him, said,
"No blame will there be upon you today. Allah will forgive you, and He is the most merciful."
Yusuf gave his brothers his shirt, his garment, and told them, "Take this shirt of mine and cast it over the face of my father. He will become seeing." Across hundreds of miles, something reached Yaqub before the caravan did. He lifted his face to the wind and said to the family gathered around him, "Indeed, I find the smell of Yusuf. If only you did not think me weakened in mind." The caravan arrived. The shirt was placed over his face, and his sight returned. He could see again. When they entered before Yusuf, father, mother, brothers, the dream of childhood
was complete. The Quran records, "And he raised his parents to the throne, and they all fell down to him in prostration. And he said, 'O my father, this is the fulfillment of my vision of before. My Lord has made it reality. And he was good to me when he took me out of prison and brought you from the Bedouin life after Shaitan had caused discord between me and my brothers.' And then Yusuf raised his hands. And the man who had survived the well, the slave market, the false accusation, the prison, the forgetting, looked at everything he now had and prayed, 'My Lord, you have given me of sovereignty and taught me of the interpretation of dreams. Creator of the heavens and earth, you are my protector in this world and the hereafter. Cause me to die a Muslim and join me with the righteous.'"
My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah called this story Ahsanul Qasas, not because it was easy, not because the suffering was small, but because of what the suffering produced. Yusuf was in a well, but Allah was with him in the well. Yusuf was enslaved, but Allah was walking beside him through the marketplace. Yusuf was in a prison, but Allah was writing his elevation from inside those walls. Every single darkness that Yusuf walked through, Allah used as a corridor that led somewhere no one else could see, but Allah had already prepared. And perhaps today you are in your own well. Perhaps the people who should have protected you threw you in. Perhaps you are in the darkness of betrayal, or the slavery of circumstances you did not choose, or the prison of a situation that feels permanent and unjust. And if you are, remember that Allah did not abandon Yusuf in the well, and He has not abandoned you. The Quran says, "And let this land in your heart. Indeed, he who fears Allah and is patient, then indeed Allah does not allow to be lost the reward of those who do good." Surah Yusuf 12:90. Your throne is still being prepared. Your brothers may have dropped you into a well, but Allah is already coordinating the caravan. Do not give up on the plan of Allah, because the plan of Allah always arrives. If you have ever been in your own well, write Ya Sabur in the comments, so the rest of us know we are not alone. If this story reminded you that Allah has not forgotten you, share this video with one person who needs to hear it tonight. And if you want more stories that remind your heart why Islam is the most beautiful way of life, subscribe, turn on notifications, because the stories of this ummah are not finished yet. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.